telling me that the United States of America cannot come up with a quality, cost-effective healthcare system guaranteeing healthcare to all people. Don't tell me that, because I don't believe it. Don't tell me that when moms and dads, middle-class, working-class people go to work tomorrow and are nervous about the quality of childcare their kids are in because they don't have the money to find affordable quality childcare. Don't tell me that we cannot have the best childcare pre-K system in the world. We can. Don't tell me that when our infrastructure is crumbling, that we cannot find jobs for millions of people rebuilding our roads and bridges. Please don't tell me that. Don't tell me that with all the energy and the brains in this country, that we cannot lead the world in combating climate change and transforming our energy system. Don't tell me that we cannot break down the barriers of discrimination that continue to exist in America. We're a great country, we can do that. So here's the point. Here is the point, and it's a simple point. Do we have the courage? Do we have the courage to say to the billionaire class, sorry, you cannot have it all. Enough is enough. Campaign is about. Campaign is not just about electing Bernie Sanders. It is about creating a political revolution of millions of people who refuse to allow ourselves to be divided up by race, by gender, by sexual orientation, by whether we were born in America or born someplace else. When we stand together as one people, fighting for dignity, fighting for justice, fighting for environmental sanity, there is nothing we cannot accomplish, and I look forward to working with you as we go forward to make that happen. Thank you very much. This is, I'm sure a lot of fans that you all came out to hear, to participate in serious discussions about serious issues and where we need to go. What I want to do now is to take a few questions. That young man they're leveraging is my son, lives in Claremont, New Hampshire. Be nice to him and he'll give you the microphone to ask a question or make a comment. Okay, hands up, leveling up there.
Hello, good evening. My name is Priscilla Jones and I live in Amesbury, Massachusetts. And I appreciated your comment about that we can't afford to pay for all these things. The mayor in Amesbury is frequently telling us that we can't afford things, that they give us feel that we can. So could you articulate a little bit how would you pay for all of this?
Absolutely right. Thank you for the question. I start off from the proposition that over the last 30 years, there has been a transfer of wealth of trillions of dollars from the middle class to the top 1/10 of 1%. If I had a pie chart, which I do in Washington, it would show you that the amount of wealth owned by the top 1/10 of 1% has doubled in the last 30 years, while the wealth owned by the middle class and working families has shrunk. So let me unabashedly tell you that I believe, and we've introduced legislation to do this, we are going to ask corporate America and the wealthiest people in this country to stop paying their fair share of taxes. terms of how we fund free public college and university tuition, how we make tuition free, we have put forth in our legislation a tax on Wall Street speculation that would more than pay for that. So the point that I'm making is you're right to ask how we pay for these things, because many of these proposals, in fact, are expensive. Universal health care is an expensive proposal. But I think when you have massive income and wealth inequality, we are going to ask the wealthy and large corporations to pay their fair share of taxes. That's the significant way to go forward.
Brenda Bouchard, and I live in Madbury. I've been a caregiver for nearly 10 years. My husband has younger onset Alzheimer's disease. My mother's almost 89. She lives with me. She has Alzheimer's disease as well. I'm one of 65,000 Alzheimer's caregivers here in the state of New Hampshire. Currently, Alzheimer's disease receives $600 million in research money from the NIH. Medicare and Medicaid will spend $153 billion this year to care for people with Alzheimer's. So my question to you, sir, is what will you do to make sure this devastating disease, as well as the potential bankruptcy to Medicare and Medicaid, get the attention they so greatly deserve?
Look, in 1 minute you summarized it pretty well. Sounds like a good application. I'm sorry, the first thing is Brenda? Okay. Brenda touched on a very important issue. Alzheimer's, as we become a society which has more and more old people, we're going to have more and more Alzheimer's. One of the absurdities that goes on in Washington that you just cannot believe is my Republican colleagues are desirous, anxious to give more tax breaks to billionaires and cut back on research, not only for the NIH, but for other scientific organizations. Okay, but by the way, it is not just Alzheimer's. It is diabetes, it is cancer, it is heart disease. I know that Alzheimer's is but it is all of them. And as a nation, we should be investing in research and development. Now what is happening, by the way, because we have under Republican leadership cut back funding, what you are seeing is many leading researchers leaving the United States of America. They can't get the grants they need to do their work. So I believe in prevention. I believe that it makes sense to invest in trying to understand the causation of disease. In the long run, it saves us money and it certainly eases human suffering. So I believe in that very strongly.
Bernie, I'll support you anyway, but if you cannot get nominated by the Democrats, will you consider running as an independent?
No.
Why?
I'll tell you why. I have worked in Washington for 25 years. I know what right-wing Republicans are about. And they got 87 different candidates, but when you boil it down, this is their agenda. It is tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. It is unfettered free trade. It is cuts to Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, education, the environmental protection. It is, for many of them, doing away with the concept of the minimum wage so people in America can work for $3 or $4 an hour. So I do not want to be a part of electing some right-wing Republican as president. Now, before I made this decision, I gave thought. I did. And I gave thought to say, well, is it better? I'm no longer serving independent, as you know, in American history. Should I run as an independent? I gave some thought. And believe me, there were some of my friends who thought that that might be the best thing to do. But I made the decision to run within the Democratic primary and caucus process. That's the decision I made. And that's the promise that I will keep. I will not run outside of that system.
I'm a New Hampshire native and I work in the healthcare system. My question, I would also like to thank you for your first event today being about climate change. It's a very important issue. My question to you is, do you have a plan to deal with the massive amount of weight that is very realistically going to be put on our healthcare system by climate change? And if you not, do more disenfranchised and those with pre-existing health conditions.
The impact that climate change will have on low-income people in terms of their health. All right, that's a good point. And as you know, it will not only be in the United States of America. One of the spin-off results is you're going to see more disease taking place around the world. And that is why it is imperative that we move boldly to transform our energy system. I think when we establish, in my view, what we should do, a national healthcare system, a Medicare for all single-payer system, I think it will make sure that everybody, regardless of their income, gets healthcare. But obviously, we've got to do everything that we can to prevent the disastrous impacts of climate change, including increased disease. Left.
I'm Peter, and I'm from Exeter, New Hampshire, right here. We live right down the street. And I am deeply, deeply worried about your candidacy, and I'll tell you why. Fox News will come out and attack you in every conceivable way. Those billionaires own the media, and they own NBC as well as Fox News.
Yes.
And there are people in this state who listen to nothing but Fox News. Nothing. And we have a Republican legislature because people listen only to Fox News, and because Alec pours millions and millions of dollars at the local level, making sure that Democrats never get a chance. Now tell me, what can you do to counteract the propaganda machine that's Fox News?
It's a very important question. If you study my career, it's an issue we have discussed a whole lot, but it goes beyond Fox. Fox, to its credit, is simply an arm of the right-wing Republican party. That's what they are, unabashedly. A more serious issue, to my mind, is mainstream corporate media, which time and time again refuses to engage in serious discussion about serious issues.
Yeah.
If I would be here tonight, I don't know how much national media we have one earlier today, and I were to attack Hillary Clinton, they'd be all over the place. That's what they want. I'm asked every day to attack Hillary Clinton or anybody else. But if we talk about serious issues like climate change or healthcare, not so interesting to the media. Issues like trade and the TPP get almost no coverage on national networks. You've raised a very important issue. I don't have a magical solution. Let me tell you some of what we're doing. First of all, I appear and have appeared for the last 9 to 10 years on a radio show called Tom Harton's radio show. And what we do is a town meeting of the year, and I do that because I understand that you talked about Fox, forget Fox. 95% of talk radio is extreme right-wing. So when you look at talk radio, 95% right-wing, Fox, an arm of the Republican Party, corporate media, which often does not discuss the major issues facing our country, you got a huge issue. How do we deal with it? Well, when I talk about a political revolution, that's part of what I am talking about. At the end of the day, people talking to each other, knocking on doors, educating their friends and their neighbors and their family members is hugely important. The other thing that we are doing in this campaign is spending a lot of time and money and effort on our social media. It is not an accident that we have 100,000 people out on Wednesday night, because we're reaching out on social media. On my Senate website, we have 1.5 million people who we talk to through Facebook. So I am very cognizant of the issue that you raised. And all of us have got to figure this one. It is a tough issue. But we have got to figure out how we have a media in America that presents all points of view and is not dominated by the corporate agenda. Phil, why don't you give the mic to Phil? Where's Phil? All right, Phil, why don't you come in? Phil out there? Phil. There's Phil. All right, why don't you make a statement and we'll...
Hey everybody, what a great job. My name's Phil. I've worked for Murray for, I don't know, 25 years or so. It's great to be on this campaign. We've only been at it for 3 months. As you can see, it's just exploding everywhere. It's really exciting. We can win in New Hampshire. We can win in Iowa. we can win the Democratic nomination, but we're going to need your help. So here's just a couple of things, for those of you who really want to make this happen. A couple things. BernieSanders.com. Please go there on the website. A lot of good information, updates on the campaign. We would love it if you could make a contribution. As Bernie may have said tonight, we have more individual contributions than any other campaign, averaging about 35 bucks. If you could make a $35 contribution, that would be huge. We would welcome that. For those of you who have cell phones, please take your cell phone out now and just send a text message, and this will get you involved in the campaign. And you want to send it to this number. It's 82623. 82623. And just put Bernie in the body of the message and hit send. And what that will do is will connect you to the campaign. So the next time Bernie's in your area in New Hampshire, you'll get a text. Bernie's going to be in such and such a place. When we're going to do a canvass and knock on doors. All those sorts of things. So that number is 82623. Can folks send a text to what number? 82623. Really good way to get involved. Got a gentleman here, Kurt Ehrenberg. Kurt is our political director in New Hampshire, right here. Kurt has an email address. We are building our staff in New Hampshire. Julia Barnes is now our state director, comes with a lot of experience. Her family's from New Hampshire. So you're going to be seeing more activity from the campaign. But if you just want to send an email, send it to Kurt with a K, K-U-R-T, at BernieSanders.com. And that's another way that you can get involved.
With that, let me just thank all of you for being out tonight. This is an unbelievable turnout in a small town, and it really tells me that if we put our shoulders to the wheel, we're going to win in New Hampshire. We have an aggressive effort in Iowa. We win Iowa, we win New Hampshire. We're off to transforming America, and that's what we're going to do. Thank you so much.